landslide in India. Russia got hit with hail. Everybody's getting hit. Shangzi, yesterday was Beijing, the capital. China's going to dissolve into just mud. Hey, Cindy, you look good in blue. You're welcome, sweetie. Everybody's going to have mold in their cars, in their homes, basements, their foundations. All right. There we go. Let's get this show on the road. Whoops. There we go. All right. Howdy, folks. All right. Thank you for being here. Here we are, 7:31. All right. Go on, little guy. Get out of there. All right. Welcome back. I told you I would be back. If you look deeper in here, can you see the flow going over this bigger round black area right there with the little satellites accompanying it right there? You can see the way the flow's hitting it and then flaring off the top and continuing to go straight after the edge of the circle right there. There's our object, our bigger object, hiding in there with a bunch of little satellites. And here's some other ones that got tore away. All right. And that was today, 7:31. So let me get this started here. And while this is loading up, oops, I take a moment to thank all of you for taking a moment of your precious time to be here with this precious family. If you've hung out until the end and you've made some discoveries, you understand how precious this family is and how precious you are to me. Okay, there's the loop playing, and you can see our bigger object in there causing the CME. A bunch of little smaller satellites getting torn away, coming out at different angles and stuff. All right, so let that play for a second, and then we'll go through this frame by frame. All right, so let me come down here, slide, catch the opening frame here in a sec, and we'll march through this frame by frame. Doesn't look like we have all our data here. 11:24 is the last frame. Yeah, I could see why. Anyways, opening frame 024 of a 7:31:24. Meanwhile, we had this little activity over here that we took a peek at last night when we took a little peek into the future. There was that little event, And then this had started to take place. And then we left off right about there. Here you can see another dark circular object hanging out right there, very ghostly, but still there. Another smaller one coming out right there. Something else over here. And then look how this spread comes out from here to here. It's going to be a bigger object. So you just kind of bounce back a little bit and watch as that blossoms out circular fashion. There's our object coming through. Here it is. Boom, hiding back there in the plasma with its little satellites, one here, something being torn away. This actually looks like it might be. Well, you can see one right here, this round object. Okay. I'm trying to use the pointer more than my hand, but right there, hiding in the dark, there's our object right there. And you can tell by the flow and the spread, you can see this this flaring coming off the top. Let me go ahead and zoom on in here now. All right. Let me give you another comparison, something to kind of show you what I'm talking about here. One that's way more defined. And just to give you a quick little reference here, I think it's in favorites. Yeah. This one right here. Okay. Here you can clearly see our big round black object, but you can see the spread and you see how stuff is flaring off the top of the sphere right there. We have that same effect going on right in here. All right, so there's your big black spheroid hiding back in there with all of its little satellites. All right, so let me zoom back out a little bit, because when you go too tight on it, you can't. You kind of lose it there. It's better when you're back a little bit from it. See there, and they're very, very hard to catch, very hard to see, and then as it kind of dissipates and goes by, you can see it was much bigger. You see this flow coming off the top up here. It's actually and going off the page, coming back around like that. All right, that's what I'm. And you can see the way the plasma spread out and flowing over it. Okay, it's much like a rock in a river. Some of the flow asymmetries are very similar to fluid dynamics. Okay. Then there's something else. Another one. Here's a half circle back behind it. So we have our bigger one, and then there's a semi-smaller one back behind it, and you can see stuff flaring off the top of it too. As those two move on by. And then there's no more data after that. That was our last frame right here at 11:24. Yeah, but that's okay. We caught the event. So let me go ahead and start this again. We'll slow it down just a tad bit so you can see. There we go. All right, so these bigger objects are interacting with the sun again, and this sends more energy our way towards Earth, and we don't need to be taking on any more kind of energy here because, well, our planet's already kind of overcharged as it is, and we're spitting out lava and having earthquakes and stuff, all because of this activity in these objects. Okay. Boom, you can see it sneaking through there. And it's much like this one right there. Okay, and you see how big it is compared to the sun. The sun is that little white circle. Let me go back here. The sun is the size of this white circle. Put that white circle in the middle of this, And now you get a representation of how big that thing is compared to our sun. Our sun is huge compared to us. Look at this thing. It's a monster, all right? So, hiding back in there, you can kind of see it in the flow. Let me see if we can pause it right around there. You can see two flows, one that's still hitting this area and another one reaching back, starting to hit the second one back in here. See the stuff flowing over the top right here? All right, and hit that again. There's some other satellites that kind of distort part of the image here, but these right there. Back up. Here it's back behind the sun a little bit. You can see the little satellite moving with it. Here's your spherical object as it approaches from the backside, going right by it, or we're going by this object. Astrophysics would dictate that this thing is much bigger, has more mass, and that instead of us rotating or it rotating around the sun, it's more like the sun's going around these because they're bigger objects. All right, so let that play one more loop, and then we'll move on into the rest of the report. Okay, I know things are getting pretty serious now, so take a deep breath, and here we go. All right, so let's start at the top. Our solar flux indice is way up at 235. We're up another 15 points. That's way high for our solar flux indice, okay? Sunspot number 271. We're nearing 300 sunspots again. It's up another 10 points, another 10 spots today. So 271, I think that's right about where we saw it max out last time. Our area is increased. It's in the red as well, which can mean some of the stuff is spread out. But let's go ahead and just get on in here and take a peek under the hood. Okay, here's our whole grouping right here. All this mishmash. 67, 65, this region, they're all tightly packed right in there. Okay, this could touch that could touch this. We have all kinds of crisscross possibilities, even 3770 up here. Okay, so, and this is all rotating into our IMF hookup line, all right, which also has a charge. Our IMF line has a, it's a conduit, and it also has a charge in it still, and could spark a solar flare when it gets to this area. It's almost like having one negative pole sitting there exposed and a positive getting closer and closer and closer, and then finally zzz, you get a connection. Well, our IMF line could trigger something when these come into that region, and they're about to right now. So we got this one over here, 3772, also rotating into view, and then look at this mess over here on the side. Let's just get as best as we can on that. All right, as you can see, another very complex magnetic, combination coming here, complex 3774. Okay, so we have still a lot of activity going on our sun, a lot of sunspot regions, all due to all these little objects and stuff too. They have magnetic fields. They stir up the magnetic field of the sun when they interact with it. All right, we got to zoom out and get back to, no, we can leave it at 200 and then come back and do this. All right, so here's your GOES X-ray flux currently. All right, here's our bumpy day with our big object, long duration, long duration. All right, bunch of M flares right here today, and then all this going into tomorrow already. And look how this just comes out of this and steadily climbs. See how this whole regular indice just keeps climbing? That's why it's up to so high, our solar flux indice, because overall, it was way down here in middle C, and keep climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. Now we're way up here, sitting at M class. As we're having little burps, they're giving little M class flares right now. See how we've increased all the way up to M class? All right, there's your D-layer absorption right now. Let's zoom back out of this. All right, and get to the rest of this report. G1 for tomorrow, okay? We had these last storms. They didn't impact too bad, so hopefully this G1 won't be so bad either. That would be nice. We can take a little peek at this if you want. What? You don't want to see what's happening already on August 1st. Well, tough. We're going to do it anyway. Probably not much. This little object down here, see that sucker squirting out there? A little V-shaped bow shock on it. Remnants, the trailing objects of our bigger one that just passed. Ooh, what's this right here? That almost looked like a. Well, we got on round one right here. Something going on right there. As it moves on out, that almost looks like a little disc following it, which we've captured on here plenty of times. Something else going on over here. See this round object, magnetic stuff going on. There's another event going on up there too. So a bunch of these moons that are trailing the bigger object, still kicking off energy off the sun. Okay. Now, let's go back. There we go. So there's your little peek into the future there. The next couple of days after tomorrow, we're going to be clear on geomagnetic activity, which is good. We could use a break, especially after all the CMEs that we just had back to back to back. All right. Meanwhile, we're still getting D-layer absorption. I'll take you over to that map in a second. X-flare potential 25%, M-flare potential 75%. Before we lose this data on the D layer, let's just go over to it really quick. Because right there, this latest, the last image that's available, or the first one, which is old, was red right there. So as we kind of go through, there was an event right there. Bingo. Today hit, this area, China, the East Pacific there. I thought I saw a couple more here. Oh, that one got a little red right there. Oh, it's already off the map. Oh, right at the very end is this bigger one right here. Okay, so there were 3 of them today, and we just missed the tail end of this one. We barely got it. That's actually new data. Sorry, this is ongoing right now. This is old data. There was one right before this. As we go along here. So one right there, boom. We took a lot of absorption. That absorbs to the ionosphere, heats up the ionosphere. Also goes down to the core. There's that one. Oh, that one's the other one right there. Right over China and the Philippines, the archipelago there. And then this one right now that we're currently enduring. Okay, so three good blasts that we got hit with today. That's a lot of energy being absorbed. Absorption. Can you absorb that? Oh, good. That's why I'm a stickler for absorption. All right, now let's get back to this and finish up here. So there's your current D layer. We're taking on energy right now. There's your geomagnetic field auroras are pretty strong. We just had a couple of good G1 storms right here, KP5, just like this last one. So a couple more KP5s, and that's energy being directed to the poles, right? Absorbed down to the core, causing the core to heat and swell. We're absorbing all kinds of energy right now, and we're going to see the repercussions via earthquakes, volcanoes, SO2 emissions, fires, all that great stuff. All right, meanwhile, our M flares 6.3, 5.3, 4, a 6, a 7.7, 4.7, and this latest one, or that was earlier yesterday, the M9.4 out of 3772. All right. Really quick, our beta gamma here at 74. 68 is beta gamma delta, and so is 65, but it's declining, while 68 beta gamma delta and growing. So we'll have to watch that one a little closely. Okay, let's get through this article. The first distinct M flare of the month of August, and an impulsive M6.3 solar flare was produced by AR 3773 in the southwest quadrant. Despite the rapid nature of the event, some plasma appears to be leaving the flare site, but should likely be directed to the west and away from Earth. All right, we're talking about that one right there. Geomagnetic storm. The minor G1 geomagnetic storming persists in the wake of at least a couple of CME passages since early Tuesday. Okay, so we're still in G1. It persists. Okay, since Tuesday, and isolated periods of storming will remain possible during the next 24 hours while the solar wind stream remains enhanced. Okay, let's go ahead and open up the tracker, do a track-a-lacking really quick. This is showing a CME moving away. That's the one that we're talking about, moving away from us, barely clipping us. But you see where our IMF line comes and hooks up with it? That's probably triggering it. Could be, because this line also has an electric charge on it too. So when you cross a couple of wires every once in a while, bzzz, you get a big old spark too. Now, over here, I'll open this one up too, because that was showing impact. Oh, that's the old one, impact on the 30th. Old news, never mind, back up. So we've taken on a bunch of impacts. We're still in G1 storm. Multiple mid to upper level M flares have been observed during the past 12 hours, including 2 flares at nearly the same time. 72 produced at 6, and meanwhile, towards the west limb, 62 appears to be responsible for an M4.4 that peaked at 1332. Other events today may include M7.7 around 68 and the M4.7 around 3774. So stay tuned to solar activity getting spicy. Look at all these spots going off. There's Watchwoman. Hello, sweetie. Bless you, darling. Old sunspot region 3738, the possible source of far side eruptions the past week or so, is now turning back into view from off the east limb. It's just produced an M4.7 solar flare, and the image below it, SDO. Okay, so there's old 3738 coming into view over there. That's the one we're just looking at. Okay, that's an old article. Okay, let's move on and get our little passenger out of there. All right. The geomagnetic storm watch G2, another CME, is expected to hit Earth today, August 1st, and NOAA forecasters say that it could spark a G1 or G2 class geomagnetic storm. Okay, during such storms, naked eye auroras may be seen in northern tier U.S. states. 2 more CMEs hit Earth on July 31st. Each impact was weak, but collectively they sparked the G1 class geomagnetic storm with the auroras over Minnesota. Beautiful picture there. Okay. We covered the D region. All right, let's get on over here to the Schumann here. And as you can see, we had a little bit of grinding today, but all in all, pretty smooth. We got good continuity most of the day. A few little bumps right here, there, but all in all, not too bad. We had a little pressure building up, a little grinding, but it got a good release. It quit really quick, built up, and probably the same spot released again, and then it went smooth afterwards. Got a little weak during that time frame, but we also had these little blurps going through there. So pressure down at the core shell level is just right there at its maximum. The barrier between the two is so close that any little hiccup out of the sun causes the core and the shell to grind and causes your teeth to grind. Sometimes this stuff can be effective on, affect you, your animals. When it's low like that, it makes you hostile and irritable. When it's strong like this, it makes you anxious and anxiety. So we have other factors besides the news that are affecting your moods and stuff too. We're used to a nice solid 7.83, nice smooth hum there that keeps everybody calm. And now we're seeing these fluctuations from down below. Well, cause fluctuations up above in your head too. So it's important we do our spiritual work too. All right. So there's all that in a nutshell. Now, coming on over to here. As you can see, I've got it set up here on the storm level. And here's this big old rotation out here in the Pacific. We've still got this thing here at Greenland. Okay. Just still sitting there. Okay. What was the other new ones? Look at this. Right up here at the North Pole. We're getting two vortexes. One right here, one right there. Remember I showed you all that heat that was starting to show up at the North Pole? Well, there's a lot of cold water up there. So when heat mixes all that cold water, we're getting vortexes. And watch, the two vortexes actually have glued together into one all the way around. Okay. And that is just right next to our storm right here in the Pacific. All right, so we're seeing all kinds of little vortexes forming here from heat signatures. Here's our big one out in the Atlantic. This is a mess down here. All right, but we're not too concerned about that area because we don't live there. All right, so there's some of your storm. Ow. Get electrocuted, man. All right, so we're at this level. I want to bring it on over to the sandstorm here. Okay, and let's freeze it right there. Take the wind off for a second. And as you can see, our sandstorm reaching out and coming across. Here's the white is the densest part. And it was white out here for a while. Now it's not so dense anymore. It's kind of, overall, it's still there, but it's not as thick. And it's kind of breaking up. And some other weather patterns are starting to, chop this in half and squeeze in there and stuff. Meanwhile, we still have that sand plume that came through is now spreading up through the Mississippi River Valley, up through the middle part of the country. All right, so there's your sandstorm right there coming off Africa, haltering a lot of our hurricane production out there. Meanwhile, over here, Sahara or Saudi Arabia, Oman, Yemen, still enjoying a nice sandstorm. All that's being looped up and thrown across India. We have this one up here at the Gobi Desert still going on. So a lot of sandstorming. Put the wind back on, and there we go. Now you can see how our vortex here that's been heat induced is actually pulling a lot of the sand off of there. As this whole thing rotates, it's pulling sand kind of off like that. keeping our hurricane production down, so that's good. And then you can see our vortex up there. All right, so there's your sandstorm really quick. Now let's get over here to the SO2. Rotate around to good old US of A, our country divided here. One side bleeding out, the other side, well, mainly volcanic, and other sides. Okay, everything kind of east of that line still bleeding out. Meanwhile, over here, we got this concentrated patch is coming right out of here, right where our fire is up there in Northern California. And let's see what's happening tonight, shall we? Well, what do you know? Not a single fire on the planet again. I'm going to try something different, though. I'm going to go back. What did we go? Back an hour. Still no fires. Well, I can see why they took them off there, because it was, they don't want you knowing, so... Anyways, these SO2 sites are sparking fires up here in Canada. Been creeping down. Whoops, my bad. Please kind of cooperate, computer. All right, I'll just leave it there since it's not cooperating. It's been creeping down from Canada. These fires up through here at these sites have been creeping all the way down. Now we've got one going on here. It sparked a fire here. We got these SO2 emissions so hot that they spark fires, and been creeping down the Sierras down here to Southern California, where they have this fire going on down here with spark. Is it? That's a little too far. I think it's up here. This one right here. They had a fire that was sparked from their SO2 emission site right there, and now apparently fires aren't all that important. You know, it's information to the public to let you know. So consider these people don't like you too much. They don't need you knowing that fires are being started at these sites. Okay, that's the modus operandi here. Okay, because look, there's none, and then fires, and we've seen for the last 3 nights they've taken the fires off of here. Okay, we all know why. Okay. Just glad we caught them when we did, you know, before they pulled it down, before it was, you know, never captured. So there's other fire sites and stuff that we could go to, but this one was nice because it was right on each site, and you could tell that these places that sparked the fires. All right, let's continue on down. You see Mexico all through Caribbean got their issues. Starting here in the middle of the rainforest, there's a site. Meanwhile, this whole region down the coast still behaving like it does. We check out the fulcrum point here. Yeah, what's up, kitty? It's looking nice and defined right there. Oh, I didn't leave it open for that. There we go. There. So our fulcrum point right there relieves a lot of pressure in the region. And then this other one up here, pretty defined. So our typical activity, this area kind of cleared out because of a big quake. Same down here, but a little bit filling in now down there too. All right, relieves pressure, all because of magma pushing on the underside of the crust, trying to get out through the perforations in the crust, pushing the gas out instead first. Okay, then we come on over here to China, back up to their daytime. All right. Now, when this gas comes up out of the ground, okay, it's poisonous. It's not good. It's sulfur dioxide. So it's not healthy, but it also makes the ground very porous, right? Then they're getting hit with flooding too. So it's gas comes out, loosens up the dirt, water goes and hits that loose dirt and sinks down. They're going to have landslides, sinkholes. They're going to have issues because of all this gas coming out, water on top, gas comes out, water on top. It's just going to keep dissolving this country away unless they, well, get on board. Then you can see this India having its issues, Saudi Arabia. Look at these spots now, right along here, getting very intense. This is where we saw quake activity in this plate boundary. It was right in this region, and now we're seeing strong SO2 emissions from there. Wouldn't surprise me if there was a fire right there too, especially the darkness of that one. But meanwhile, Europe all tattered. Looks like a shotgun blast hit a side of beef or whatever. So peppered with all these little spots. And there's South Africa. And then over here we check out Java because it's a relief valve sometimes. Nice and dark right now. Pressure's built up. You know what I'm saying? We've been hit with a bunch of CMEs. We've taken on a bunch of energy. And then look at most of Taiwan is emitting SO2 now. The whole island, there's like two little slivers that aren't, right? So it hasn't had a quake there in a while, so it's still being our relief valve, but more in the form of SO2 than in quakes. And it's built up because it hasn't had a quake in a while. We had a good sized quake in that region, it would relieve a lot of the pressure in the area. As we continue on down, there's that. Oh, yeah, we covered all that. Japan. See how it's kind of spread north of China now, up into this region, even coming down into the Korean Peninsula. See North Korea, there we got some. South Korea, Japan has volcanic activity on it. So these are all perforations in the crust. Just so much pressure down below. It's just shoving SO2 out through all the holes, all the perforations. Okay, everybody take a deep breath because here we go over to our ocean report. We're going to go to the surface temperature anomalies right now. Okay, it's 7:31. So that's our closest date right there. It's usually a day behind because it takes so long for this map to congeal. There's your big hot spot out there in the Pacific. This area has really reduced in pressure. Look at that. It's going back down, so that's good. We still have this cold water inundation along the coast here. Kind of an emission site right outside the bay right there. Okay. Meanwhile, all that would be cold if it wasn't for this one emission site. Ow. Doesn't like it when I say it. So we've got to watch that area closely. All right. Meanwhile, right up to the Juan de Fuca is all this, all this heat plume, magma pushing up through the bottom. Something else that we need to talk about. Not all of this is like magma coming out of the ocean floor. There are also water tables in between. So you could be seeing plumes of superheated water coming out from the ocean floor as well. We saw that blast in Yellowstone that was superheated water. Well, if it's happening on land, it's happening under the water too. Okay, so not all of these superheated plumes areas are, like spitting out a bunch of magma, but it could be super boiling hot water that's, just sub steam emitting from these sites and heating the water so much in the area. Okay, but they are heat plumes that are induced by activity on the ocean floor. Okay. There's that region. I want to take a look at Taiwan here. Is that a boat? No, it's a boat. All right. Hey, look at this. We still have cold water up here north of Taiwan and down in this region. So it's trying to recover. This area was all surrounded and it's trying to recover. You can see it a little bit. We had darker red back in here with no cold water. It was actually starting to turn yellow. So we have seen a diminution in pressure there, probably because of our SO2 emissions. But you see how this hot water has pinned all the cold water in that area. Hot, cold. Expect to see some vortex action develop there probably. Oops. Look at this right here now. Soon as you know what's dominating that flow is this. See how it's coming across India? Wow, 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 wow. Look at that. Wait, let me pull back right there. All right. Heat signature, curving up. This is air coming from the southern hemisphere, crossing the equator, going into the northern hemisphere, by the way. Then we got all this wonderful vortex activity happening in the air because the air is warming up over this area too, right? So warm air rises, cold air comes in to replace it, causing vortexes. Meanwhile, look at how all up in here, let me take the wind off of here. We used to be reporting on the bar in the Pacific and the yellow bar in the Atlantic. Look what's going on at the top of the world, you guys. This is off the hook. Look at all of this is supposed to be super cold. It's going to melt a lot of this ice up here and stuff. We're going to have some issues up there. Meanwhile, if you look right here, the center of the Earth, or the North Pole right here, there's a heat plume growing underneath that. Okay, now let me kind of spin it around here and get you nice and dizzy, but I want to pull back here to, geez, it looks like the planet's on fire almost, but up here at Greenland, this hot water way up here on the side of Greenland is crazy. Look how much hot water there is above Norway, Sweden. This is all very disturbing. All right, and there's your plume in the Atlantic. All right, let's go ahead and just hit the winds and let the, I want to do, yeah, good, it's at 850. Because sometimes I think we get the wrong height. There we go. There is your air patterns affected by your heat plume signatures in the Atlantic. Your conveyor belt structure still standing there. The inside loop and then the outside loop. Sandstorm cutting off any kind of hurricane production, which is good because we probably would have had 8 to 10 hurricanes come right up through there like a buzz saw and just wipe this out. The temperatures in the ocean are enough to cause Category 5 hurricanes, right? We already saw that first one of the season bust out with a Category 5 early in the season, record early 5. So the potential's there. All right, it's just being cut off because of the sand, thankfully. And there is something biting my foot. Are you kidding me? Sorry, I got critters. No, all right, there we go. There's the Atlantic. Let's come on over, take a look at the Pacific flow for the moment. Let's sit there for a second. There we go. And it's been controlling our weather for a while. Our weather hasn't been controlled by the lower jet stream for a minute now, for a few months, because of this thermal production going on the ocean floor. All right, let's get out of there and come on over to our earthquake report. Good. Let's get into our deep quake region. Here we are at Fiji. Usually they're a little further away from Fiji, but this is right in the knot. Okay, you see how this is all twisted up like a knot right here? I almost think that this could have been the bottom of the planet at one point. You see how it's twisted when we had a different axis? But as we go on in, it's more than just one quake. We have a 5.7. Is that too bright for the... Why is it doing that again? All right, we have a 5.7 down at 600. Right there. Why is it not picking up? All right, anyways, 5.7 down at 600. That's pretty deep right there, okay? And then we also have this one, which is a 4.5 down at 619. Get why I'm not picking up. 4.3 down at 606. So we got a 600, a 606, and a 619. All three are very, very deep. Mid-range 4 we're used to seeing. Here's a little bit higher, or a little bit lower, but then right here is our deep quake, a 5.7 down at 600. So that could produce a larger magnitude quake up at the surface. All right, there we go. Now let me close that out. Start pulling back a little bit here. There, so deep quake activity put a little bit more than 5 magnitude at the surface. Even with that 5.7, we could see a 6 at the surface here pretty soon. Meanwhile, down here we had just over 5 at the surface on the plate boundary. Textbook stuff right there. Trying it, waving lines, crisscrosses. All right, whatever. Never mind. Meanwhile, this little island right here, emitting SO2, relieving pressure as it enters this plate boundary system. We have all kinds of volcanoes going off through that area that relieve pressure. So we haven't seen a lot of earthquake activity there. Every once in a while we get one on the island, but not today. One small one, 4.9. Another record on the 4.9s. What do you do with 4.9s here? 145, that's a little deeper in that region, probably a little volcanic island getting on the flanks. 4.7 up here down at 61, very quiet around Japan. Japan got hit, they're flooded too. Russia got hit, they're flooded too. All kinds of places getting hit pretty hard. All right, 4.3 here at Turkey at the surface, relieving energy. Look how quiet this whole system is right now. Okay, remember when we take on energy, sometimes we get this magnetic grip that seizes up and kind of squeezes the planet a little bit and subdues any kind of earthquake activity until all the energy is absorbed. It looks like we're in one of them little quiet periods there. Starting to break loose with a few red dots here, but all in all, that's that part of the world. Now, let's just do this southern part, and then we'll do America. So Cocos Plate right here, please, Lord. 4.3 at the surface. 5.0 at the surface, relieving energy there. 4.7 at a depth of 11, pretty close. Either side of the fulcrum. Matching magnitudes. Do magnitude check here. 3.2 air pressure kind of coming down on that region. All right, now let me get to all magnitudes. Thank you. Close that one out, please. Now we'll do America. Off the plate boundary here is a 4.3 down at 19. Yeah, there's no really islands there or anything. It's just off the plate boundary. All these little guys are microquaking at volcanic islands. We always stop here for magnitude check, 3.4. It was a little lower before, 3.3, but our average mid-range 3, hitting right around there. A little bigger right there, 3.8 at that fulcrum. We have little microquaking activity right there. They're not much. They're really small, 2.1. But fulcrum up there, fulcrum right here, fulcrum right here, right there, right there. That was our 3.8. Yeah. Now, inside fulcrum point. Look at that, a 4.7 with a tsunami warning. Hang on, let me do that one again. 4.7 down at 15. All right, so a little bit of uptick of pressure right there. That's on the inside of the fulcrum dome. Very interesting to bring some energy down this way. We do have reduction in pressure in that red, the yellow bar turning to turning to red now because the pressure is lessened in the area. Please, somewhere. There we go. Anyways, in that region, the pressure's lessened, so we haven't seen a lot of quake activity on the Juan de Fuca. So let's drop on in here to the Puget Sound area, little 1.3s, little area right there, reducing pressure. Here we are, microquaking on the side of Mount Rainier, sign of pressure down below. Another microquake right here on the side of St. Helens, pressure down below. We had a little 2.4 push inland there. All right, coming down the chain, here's another 1.4 Cascadia. Okay, what's going on? It's Idaho. Oh, that's up in Montana. Okay, 2.4. All right, here our fulcrum point. Sorry, I wanted to get in. Zoom in. Oh, I love it when buttons do the opposite of what you ask them to do. I love our modern technology. You press a button, it does the opposite. So we got 1.6 coming into Petrolia here at our fulcrum point. Pushes inland like this, sometimes doesn't like to round the curve, but when it does round the curve, sometimes it gets right on the shore. 2.1 right there. Our geysers area, relieving pressure. Meanwhile, our fire area up here, 2.1 at Red Bluff and a 2. We're having earthquakes up here at this SO2 emission site. See what I'm saying? Earthquakes at our SO2 emission site where the fire is, you know. Coincidence we're having earthquakes at the fire? Wonder why. Ooh, a little 2.2 out here by Walker. A little flurry in there. Aha. I have been by this spot before, and I was always wondering what was going to happen there. Well. We have a little quick storm going here. Nah, I won't tell them yet. But there's a little activity over here by this area. Watch closely. Here we are down by Mammoth. We're seeing a little activity out there. Now, as we come down through here, sorry. I have to forgive you. I am all over the place tonight, thoroughly exhausted, mentally, physically, just. Here we go. 2.5. Now, off the coast here, on this plateau, you see this plateau out here, right? See how the water's really shallow, goes out to the shelf, and then drops off. Out here on this plateau, this is not a plate boundary quake. It's not on land. It's out here in the middle of nowhere on a plateau. This is a diverse quake. Not supposed to be there. 2.3 at a depth of 4. That's really close to the surface. Definitely a diverse quake, Richter. Okay, not supposed to be. We don't see activity out here. We just don't. It's always on the plate boundary or right on land or something. That's, if we saw it right here on the edge of the shelf, I would understand. But this is in the middle. That's an odd quake. It's a diverse quake. It's not where it's supposed to be. It's not a typical quake, is what I'm saying. Meanwhile, microquaking out down through here. Excuse me. Please go away. Click it 4 times, 5 times, how many times? All right, here we go. 2.7 here in Texas. We'll check that magnitude as a 2. All right, so we've seen a decrease in magnitude in this region here in Texas from mid-range 4s and 5s down to 2s and 3s, okay, which is good. So a little decrease in magnitude. Still got these little small quakes out in here. The only other one I was a little check on really, can we just back over here? This. Tennessee. Oh, yeah. You guys can see how all this fault structure right here, how these all compressed little waves. Bingo, right in between these compression waves right here. This is land shoving together. This pushing this way, this stopping it, and it's backing up just like snow in front of a shovel. Those are all pressure waves through there. And right on them is your little fracture right there. That's a weak spot. Path of least resistance here in Tennessee, a place to keep an eye on when we got incoming pressure, because right here on the edge of the craton right there. And that's all she wrote. Now let's get on to our volcano report. Let me get some of this stuff taken down so we can open that page. Thank you for your patience, you guys. You're awesome. Let there be fire. Okay, 34 active, 28 in warning right there. 34 erupting and 28 active. Here we go. Fuego, 15,000 feet. That's a bump up there. Reventador, 14,000. That's a good blast. Let's get into 31st here. Thank you. Svarensky, yesterday morning, increased microactivity. Ebu, 8,000. Luatobi, 9,000. Samaru, 15. Dukono, 7. Fuego, sporadic ash emissions. Sangay, 20. Sabancaya, usually there's a really tall one out of that. So that looks to me like a little lower in that one. And lower in Sabancaya, Nimiragira. They're not talking about too many today. Meanwhile, there's your list. Need to remind you, there's 62 volcanoes. Let's just do a rough average. 2/3 of the planet is water, so twice as many volcanoes on the ocean floor, which would be 62 times 2 is 124. So 124 volcanoes roughly on the ocean floor. Add another 62 that are above the ocean floor back to that 124, and you get 166, 168. What did I say? 124 and 62 is 184. Sorry, 180. A lot of volcanoes going off. Concepcion still on there. Cotopaxi, Dempo. Just crazy, crazy, crazy. If I'd have told you there'd be these many volcanoes going off 7 years ago when all this started happening, you'd say you're crazy. Well, here we are, and still crazy. Crazy about you. All that ash going up in the air, just particulate after particulate after particulate, blast after blast, just puts more particulates in the air, okay, which is fuel for rain. Water adheres to those particulates and makes raindrops. So we're seeing higher potentials out of every storm, rain capacity. The air holds more water now. The air holds more particulates. Therefore, it holds more raindrops. And now we're seeing much higher totals out of just a regular storm. Same with severe weather, hurricanes. It affects all that stuff. And we got this one sitting down there in the Gulf, doing its little thing and moving onshore. A lot of different models, a lot of different things they might say what happened to that. My best guesstimate is to follow that flow. Thank you, Lord. Okay. Sorry about the little. Okay, so current conditions as we're looking right now, severe weather in Minnesota. We had some tornadoes today. We had the increase because of the geomagnetic activity. So there's your current conditions right now, the nighttime of the 31st, going into the morning of the 1st, noon, convection, nighttime. We're supposed to still have G1, so from right there into the morning, you could still possibly, they're showing a little bit of severe, but going into the noontime right there, you might still see some severe weather. And then convection, it's popping back up again. We do have the G1, so at nighttime it could still be there. Now, as we go into the second, that's when there's no more geomagnetic storming. So that'll be the morning of the second, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the third, noon, convection. Look at convection on the third. This QLCS is forming right here. It could be very dangerous, especially when it's all pulled apart. It's not all compact. It's all isolated supercells. Those are the dangerous type. Okay, and we got this nice quasi-linear convective storm front right there. So that'll be something to watch at convection of the third. Okay, and as we continue the night of the third, morning of the fourth. Now you see this thing spinning up here, approaching Florida, morning of the fourth. Noon, convection, nighttime. So around nighttime of the 4th, possibly skirting the west coast of Florida. There's the morning of the 5th, maybe making landfall right around there. Noon the 5th, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 6th, noon, convection, nighttime. It sits there for a full day. Not 2 days, really. Morning of the 7th, noon, convection, nighttime. There's a third day. Morning of the 8th, noon, convection, nighttime. That's a 961 millibar. Yeah, we could possibly see a pretty dangerous storm right there. Morning of the 9th, noon, convection, nighttime. It finally moves inland. Dang, it just stuck there for a long time. All right, right up through Mississippi, Louisiana, possibly. We'll continue to track that, but there's the convection of the 9th. So mainly making landfall, it sits out there and just stews for a couple of days. And then finally, right around here, morning or noon of the 8th, it starts to really come into the land right there at convection and at nighttime of the 8th. 9th, noon, convection, nighttime. Now, you got to remember, this is the remnants of a hurricane still moving inland. You're going to see some tornado activity. These always have spin-up tornadoes. They're very, very destructive. Even once they've lost their power and they're moving inland, you're going to see flash flooding on a level that'll be catastrophic, okay? That's noon of the 9th. Morning of the 10th. Noon, convection, nighttime. Are you kidding me? Oh, dear. At convection of the 10th. I hope that changes. Meanwhile, there's the night of the 10th, morning of the 11th, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 12th, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 13th, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 15th, 14th, whoa. Noon, convection. Look at this coming up out of there. That'll be the convection 14, nighttime 15, noon, convection, nighttime. It looks like it's going to come get Southern California. Morning of the 16th, noon, convection, night. I think that's all the data. Yeah. So, a lot of crazy weather going on. We still have the G1 tomorrow, so there could be slight uh, enhancement of any kind of weather tomorrow. We did see some severe weather today, not too damaging, but it looked like that there was a possible little bit of enhancement from our G1 storm today. Oops, and then there's that. Okay, so there's your astrophysics, geophysics, and weather. And we've been through a lot today. There's a lot going on in the news, a lot of assassinations, and a lot of rumors of war, right? And a lot of disturbing stuff going on. So we all need to take a break from that every once in a while and look at something good, something that's good for your brain. And you'll understand that all of this is for a reason, and it's not to be feared or, well, not to be feared and give you anxiety when you know what's really going on. Okay, so there's that. Let me pull up, get rid of the volcano page. We got this one pulled up too. Oh, it's that image. Let's get that one out of there, and we could put, what could we put in that place? I wish they hadn't messed this one up so much. Yeah, they took out like 4 frames. It used to be beautiful. You could see that face flipping back and forth. So we'll have to pull up the video for that. What else? Different image we could look at. Oh, we'll just go right here. Sorry, just trying to pick out some good stuff to look at here. Let me pull up the other one with the heart. I'm gonna have to go through all the pictures and find the original one with the heart so I can put that one up for you instead of the video. Because I want the best quality images for you guys. Anyways, let's get that one pulled up real quick. Let's see. We left off. I showed you this. I showed you the demons in the clouds. We showed you marrying angels and the little baby being born. I showed you Satan attacking me. I've shown you the different advanced races from the past that watch and follow and study my every move. This was interesting. God's arm kind of thing coming out of the sky with a finger and a ring on it. Big old wedding ring with the gem on the wedding ring is like way out of proportion.
It's hey everyone, like, big heads up. Paleo Valley's running a sale on all their meat sticks.
That's great. You know what a ring pop is? Remember when you were a kid, you get the ring pop and had the big old candy piece that was way out of proportion in size for a diamond? That's actually the rock that's on that ring, that's on that arm. It's pretty funny. And I'll show that to you someday too. But anyways, you want that image right there. That is another very important capture, okay? Not so much my face with the crown on it, but this, all emanating from our Savior's heart. Wearing sunglasses, don't ask me why. This is just what shows up in the clouds, okay? I take pictures of when I see a spiritual event unfolding in the sky, I am on it. And I start taking pictures of what's going on. Not so much anymore because, well, I can't lift my head, my back. A lot of stuff hurts now. So there's that image, and we got that one to look at, as well as down below here. There's a good one where it's rotated. All right, so all of that happened on Easter of 2020 because of, well, that's who I am. All right. I'm sorry, we're not going to go too deep into it with all that stuff tonight. I'm going to read. I'm tired. You guys are too. And I got some important stuff for you, so we need to get to business, okay? Take a couple of deep breaths with me. Get comfortable, get in your position, with a friend, wherever you are, in your car. Different people do it different ways, but it's time to be at peace for a minute. Be with me for a moment. Okay. So a lot of this stuff is disturbing. We see a lot of stuff in the news right now that's disturbing. Okay. We've had a couple assassinations and there looks to be retaliation, right? But even though that could possibly happen, I want you to have no fear of bad news. The only way to accomplish this feat is to have a steadfast heart trusting in me. There is an abundance of bad news in the world, but you don't need to be afraid of it. Instead, confidently rely on me, believe in me, and find encouragement in my sacrificial death on the cross and my miraculous resurrection and return. I am your living Savior. I am Almighty God. I am sovereign over global events. I am still in control. So, when things around you or in the world seem to be spinning out of control, come to me and pour out your heart. Instead of fretting and fuming, put your energy into praying. I repeat, quit fretting and fuming and start praying. Put your energy into praying. Come to me not only for comfort, but also for direction. I will help you find the way forward. I take your prayers into account as I govern your planet in ways that are far, far beyond your understanding. So don't dread bad news or let it spook you. Instead, keep your heart steadfast and calm through the confident trust in me. There's a heart steadfast and calm, even in the middle of all the bad news, right? I want you to not dread the bad news or let it spook you. Some of it, if you with the right perspective, is kind of good news when you look at it in the right way. And I will help you find the way forward. So come to me not only for comfort, but also direction. Okay? You can ask me for comfort, direction, wisdom, discernment. Ask me for wisdom. I know how much you need it. King Solomon requested a discerning heart, and he received wisdom in magnificent abundance, much like you guys have magnificent abundance. This precious gift right here, that you're looking at, all these pictures, every single miracle that you're looking at are miracles here. And each precious gift is also essential for you, especially when you're making plans and decisions. So come to me for what you need and trust me to provide it in full measure. One aspect of wisdom is recognizing your need for my help in all that you do. When your mind is sluggish, it's easy to forget about me and simply dive into your tasks and activities. Okay? When your mind is sluggish, all right? Lately, I've been a lot of pain. I have not a lot of sleep, sleep deprivation, still going physically, so physically demanding, and you get sluggish. Your mind gets sluggish, and then all this other stuff from the world comes bombarding into your mind as well. So when when your mind gets sluggish, it's easy to forget. It's easy to forget about me. You just go ahead and dive into things. And I did that today. I just dove into something and forgot to ask, forgot to pray. So this is something that happened to me today, fresh off the streets, and I struggled for a while. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Oh, duh. My mind was sluggish. I have to remember I need some rest. I have to eat right. I have to get some, physical rest as well as sleep. So it's easy to forget. I understand that it's easy to forget. So when that happens, try to recognize what had happened, your need for help, and eventually you will bump into an obstacle, and then you will face an important choice to push ahead full throttle or to stop and ask me for insight and understanding and guidance. So the closer to me you live, the more readily and frequently you will seek my help. Okay, pretty soon it's going to be frequent. Right now we're just making baby steps. It's good. You guys are doing well, and we're going to work our way up into frequently. Okay, some people are doing it pretty frequent now. So the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Though I am your friend, remember who I am in my great power and glory. Godly fear and reverential awe and worship, admiration, provides the best foundation for wisdom. Okay, wisdom is knowledge and knowing what to do with it. Okay, so train your mind to think great thoughts of me. Many Christians are defeated by focusing mainly on less important things like the news, the weather, the economy, loved ones, problems, and their own problems. Okay, so we are bombarded by the news, the weather, the economy, loved ones' problems, and your own problems. So, in this world, you will have trouble, but don't let the troubles become your primary focus. Because sometimes we get swept up in our troubles, don't we? So don't let your troubles be your primary focus. Remind yourself that I am with you and I have overcome the world. I am nearer than the air you breathe, yet I am infinite God, King of kings and Lord of lords. I am also your loving Savior and faithful friend. One of the best ways to enhance my awareness of greatness is to worship me. This connects you with the Godhead, the Father, Son, and Spirit in a glorious way. True worship expands my kingdom of light in the world, pushing back the darkness. An exquisite way to praise me is to read or sing the Psalms. Filling your mind with biblical truth will help you resist discouragement. What will help you resist discouragement? Filling your mind with biblical truth. So when troubles assail you, exert yourself to think about who I am, your Savior and friend, who happens to be Almighty God too. All right? It's important that you understand that and trust me. Now, it's going to sound weird. It's not all about me and my ego or whatever, but I want you to become increasingly preoccupied with me. The default mode of most people is self-absorption. My followers are not immune to this affliction, and it hinders their growth. Self-absorption hinders my followers' growth. I want them to be occupied with me, because that frees up your mind. It's not about stroking my ego, it's for your mental health. The more increasingly preoccupied with me you become free. Okay, that's how it works. Do that reference, this one? The man and woman that are deeply in love are preoccupied with each other. The way they become preoccupied with me is to love me more fully with all your heart and soul and mind. This is the greatest commandment, and it is also a most worthy goal. Of course, I know you can't do it perfectly in this life, but the more you comprehend and delight in the wondrous, unfailing love that I have for you, the more ardently you can respond to me. Ask my Spirit to help you in this glorious quest, to comprehend and delight in the wondrous of my unfailing love. That quest, to comprehend it with all your heart, mind, soul. Okay? Ask my Spirit to help you in this glorious quest. Okay? Now, we got two parts to this endeavor. First one is learning to receive my love in greater depth, breadth, and consistency, and responding by loving me with more. Okay, so the first part is learning to receive my love with greater depth. Well, here you are looking at my face, in my heart, in my face, in the clouds, knowing that I am a real man, flesh and blood, walking around among you, gives you that greater depth. You now receive my love in greater depth, in person, via the air, YouTube. Okay. Okay, so we covered the first part is learning to receive my love in greater depth. Okay. When you can receive my love with this greater depth, you break free from the bondage of self-absorption and grow increasingly preoccupied with me. And I delight in setting you free. So the first part is learning to receive my love in greater depth and responding by loving me more and more. That's what breaks you free from bondage of self-absorption. Okay? I'm a stickler for absorption, remember? Yeah, and some people are so self-absorbed when you got to break free from the bondage of self-absorption and grow increasingly aware of my presence. How about that? We put it that way. You become increasingly aware of my presence. And guess what? When you trust me and you grow increasingly free from the bondage of self-absorption because of these disciplines I've been teaching you, and you're being set free, I delight in setting you free. That's what makes my heart sing, is when you guys get it. When you grasp it and somebody goes, "Oh my God, it's him and it works." Oh, I get delight in setting you free. That is a whole nother lesson again right now. Yeah, we're going to leave right there. So one more time, I want you to become increasingly aware of my presence. Instead of preoccupied with me, let's put it this way: increasingly aware that I am present here on earth now with you here at this channel. I want you to be increasingly aware of my presence. Your default mode is self-absorption. My followers are not immune from that. Okay? Even you try your best, I know, but you're not immune to self-absorption. It hinders your growth. So we got to work on killing the ego. And the only way to kill your ego is to, well, worship me, which is be aware of my presence. Okay? You don't sit there and worship. be aware that I am here. I am present with you. Okay? When you know I'm present with you, it frees you from the bondage of self-absorption, setting you free. And what delights me? Oh yeah, setting you free. So I delight in setting you free. I delight in doing this show and in passing on the gifts that I have been given by God. Okay? These are gifts that God gave me, and I like to pass them on to you. Okay? Setting you free. I like to set you free. I'm all about freedom. Yeah, not bondage. Okay? And a lot of people's bondage is their self-absorption. So, got to learn to kind of kill the ego, and then you're not so tripping out. You're not future tripping, past tripping, and all this other stuff. Ego is EGO, edging God out. It's like saying, you don't need to be part of this decision. I got it. You don't need to be, helping me through the day. I got it. No, the more you practice making that decision of being with me and asking for advice, the better off you are. The better you get at this game called life. Okay? And it sets you free. Regardless of your circumstances, the bad news, you can still be free. If everything goes up in a ball of flames tomorrow, it still does not change your destination. Okay? Even if the whole thing, even if it doesn't, it still doesn't change your destination. Okay? This is your foundation. This is your rock. This is your lifesaver out in the ocean where you got no life, no rescue for 2 days, and you're going to be bobbing on the water for 2 days, and all you have is a lifesaver ring. And that's what's going to hold you through for the next couple of days and save your life. It's going to be your foundation, your rock to hold on to, and that you can build on. Okay? This is also your comfort, your peace, your security. You look at the events of the world, see right through them. See my face right there and go, you know what? It still doesn't change anything. It still does not matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's only one thing that matters right there in the finish line. How well are you going to finish? Are you going to finish strong? Keep shining my light through you into others' lives the best you can until we're done here. Okay? I love you all. I miss you all. I want you, as my family here, to find peace and comfort in this. You are safe. You are okay. You believe me. You trust me. You are technically raptured, even though that word is not in the book. This is my face in the clouds coming with power and great glory on Easter. A 2,000-year-old revelation came true on Easter. This is my face in the clouds. It's fascinating. It's intriguing. It's like a good book or a good song. You get caught up in it. This is my face in the clouds. If you are fascinated by this, you are caught up with me in the clouds. We have met in the air live on YouTube, and we just enjoyed a show together. Okay, I will take you into glory. You are already there, getting there. We are glimpses of heaven. I am teaching you salvage work, how to salvage your day so you don't slip into depression and self-pity. You will rise above that. You will be able to still wear a smile, knowing your destination is still, you still got a finish line to cross. You're going to be all good, right? And you're going to help as many people as you can along the way. All right? And as you're helping people, this feeling grows inside of you. And that's the feeling that I have inside of me. And I want to share that feeling with you. Okay, because it makes you feel real good, and it's a gift. And I like to give gifts to my family. Okay, so this is my face in the clouds. If you're caught up with me in the clouds and we've met in the air of YouTube, well, I guess you're technically raptured. It's more of a feeling inside. It's your faith has been completed. No longer second guessing or having faith. Now you know. I have completed your faith. You know now. You have a rock solid foundation on which you can plant your foot and stand. Okay? And don't let all these Billy Carson and all these screwballs try to tell you that the Anunnaki genetically manipulated you and made you into this little. I don't even know. Come on. Think about your consciousness and where it came from. Where did your consciousness come from? Think about that one. You're divine. You're not some experiment from Anunnaki. Give me a break. I love you. I miss you. And until my next show, I will be back. I am already back. The world can tell. I think you guys can tell too. Until my next show, bye. I'll be back.